Welcome to the CCVR Study Lab's thesis preparation video. In this video, we're going to talk about how to work efficiently. Well, my first recommendation is use the study lab. So when you're doing a thesis with us, you have access to the CCVR Study Lab rooms. These rooms are built for you to do your thesis in, to use those workstations, to use the virtual reality devices, to read the books, find good sources to reference in your thesis, to get help fast, and all sorts of other things as well. I really like to emphasize this is a study lab, so you go there to study, to work on your thesis. So how to use it? I would recommend finding a regular time for yourself whenever you want, when to work in the lab. Having a regular time slot, like let's say every Wednesday from 4 to 8 p.m. or wherever your time slot is, gives you a specific routine. You go there, let's say twice a week. This is time that you dedicate for working on your thesis. You don't have any distractions there. You don't have your mom coming in and telling you to wash the dishes or do some laundry or whatever. And you have less temptation to suddenly start playing a video game for 10 hours and then not work on your thesis. Because when you already are in the lab, you know that this is a dedicated environment for you. You went there to work on your thesis and this is what you're going to do. The lab has a lot of books. I recommend you to find them in the lab. There are several shelves filled with relevant books for theses of our lab. So find those books, just take some time, feel comfortable, take the book and start reading it. Ask for help. So the lab is also used by fellow students and staff. You likely have questions about the thesis. All of you are doing your theses in the lab. Then you can just ask your fellow student, look, I'm trying to solve this problem, or what do you think, is this a low quality reference or a high quality reference? So you can help each other out because you're all working in the lab, in the same room, and help is just a table away. There is also staff in the lab, so when you have technical issues, let's say Unreal Engine isn't working or you don't know how to implement something, then at certain times some member of the staff can be in the lab and you can ask technical help directly from them. You can utilize the good hardware we have in the lab, so we have really invested in the computers, in the monitors, in different hardware, so that your work would be efficient. If you're working on your tiny laptop that is 10 years old and Unreal Engine or even Unity or whatever tool you're using boots up for 5 minutes and every change you make takes another 2 minutes of compilation time, then this is really not an efficient way to develop a game. So go to the lab, the computers are really good there. They're for you to use and work efficiently, so you don't have to wait an overly long time for the computer to calculate after every change you make. Of course, when you're using the study lab, then check out the lab's Discord server. There's gonna be latest news there. Maybe we have a new piece of hardware for you to use. There will be updates, and there's also people sharing different computer graphics or video game things, how to code better, how to make better game design. So all of these things are shared in the lab's Discord server. And when you need some time off, we have bought different games. So in the study lab, you can basically log into any stationary PC with any Steam account and you get access to a bunch of games automatically regardless of the Steam account. So those are licenses that our lab has bought specifically, and you can play some VR games, you can play some other notable like Hallmark games, and sometimes you need to take the time off. And sometimes it is not just taking the time off, but really getting familiar with different good products. For example, if you're making a VR game, then in the lab you should play Half-Life Alyx because this is a Hallmark VR game that is really innovating in a lot of VR game design. So hopefully the lab will provide you an efficient work environment. But you also need a steady work ethic. So I recommend you to make steady progress. CityLearn has a schedule for you, and in the schedule you can mark how many hours you have spent on different tasks. And there is also a default estimation of how many hours you should do for a bachelor thesis or a master thesis. And you can rearrange your plan and mark the hours you have spent. Now, to make a good thesis, you should make steady progress in CityLearn. You should spend some time in October, in November, in December, a little bit every month, every week. You can plan in your head that every week you will spend at least 4 hours on your thesis, maybe more. It depends, maybe in some weeks it's 2 hours, but in other weeks it's 8 hours. And the graph will show you your progress. What you shouldn't do is make your graph look like this. If you're not really working at all until April, well, this is gonna be very stressful for everyone. because now you have built this large wall of work for April. So you basically have to do 20-hour work days every day to finish your thesis. This is extremely stressful for you, for your supervisor, for everyone. And if you're working like that, then you don't have time to really think about your thesis. So efficient working means that you make some progress and you take some time off, you think about it from afar, and then you move back in, and then you have new ideas that you can implement when going back in. So these breaks and this steady work ethic is much more efficient. This one, students have made this kind of a wall for themselves and for their supervisor as well. And this really makes your supervisor not want to supervise anyone anymore. Because what happens now in April is that you want your supervisor's attention like every hour, like you are working, you're making these 20-hour work days, you have this bunch of things that you are finishing at the same time, and now your supervisor has to find time in their busy schedule to look over this large amount of work that you have made. And then they're gonna say that, well, 90% of it is bad, please do it again, and well, you don't have time to do it again, and then you are submitting a bad thesis. So this is extremely stressful and not good for anyone. Compared to this good steady work ethic where you're making some progress every month and your supervisor helps you every month, every 2 weeks. They can look over your work, they can look over your thesis, your text, your program code, your design, whatever it is, and they can say right away that, look, okay, you have made these things, but this one is a problem, and you should really not do that or change this to make it better or find another approach. And when this feedback is given to you in December or in January, you still have time to change your approach. But if the result you have made is in April, whatever, it's basically even that the feedback isn't even meaningful anymore because you don't have time to act on the feedback. So please work with your supervisor and work with yourself and work in the lab and mark steady progress in CGLearn. CGLearn also gives you weekly reports. So this is where your supervisor looks to see have you made steady progress. For example, in this report, we can see that on week 5, this student has made 9 hours of work. They have used 3 hours for making their title and thesis description. They have spent 4 hours for making their index or table of contents, and they are starting their experiment preliminaries, 2 hours work there. And some progress has been made on those 2 tasks. So of course some progress has been made here as well, but these particular tasks, I think they only have one slot, so it's either 0 or 100, so it's not yet completed. And we can also see that, well, in this chapter there are 500 words, here's 44 words, so the supervisor sees that, okay, there is some text in the draft. And in this week, the student has written 500 more words that now the supervisor can go, look, and give feedback on. And this gives very nice feedback for the supervisor and also for yourself to show you that you are making progress, things are happening, things are going better. Then when you're doing your meetings with your supervisor, then these meeting memos that CGLearn provides are also quite beneficial. So every meeting you have, you should look back on the memo of your previous meeting. So in the previous meeting, we agreed with a student that they should do these things. And in the next meeting or the current meeting, we look back on those things and we see how did these things go. For example, like a lot of those were successfully completed, but there was this issue that the student didn't really look into the code. So this is maybe something we will keep in mind, and maybe we'll have to do it next iteration or in the future sometime. But looking back into the promises that you and your supervisor have agreed on for the next meeting and marking them either complete or maybe not complete, or maybe we have decided that, okay, this was a meaningless thing to do, we won't do it at all. This really gives you like the feeling of like things are happening, and well, things actually are happening, and it also gives you and your supervisor a same page that you're on, that these things are done, these things are what we're going to do in the future. In your schedule, you should not fail your tasks in CGLearn. So the schedule has a bunch of tasks, very general tasks like title and description, or 1/3 of the thesis written and so on. They have deadlines. And this is very important. Those deadlines, you can put your own deadlines there. You can always change those deadlines except when the deadlines have passed or when the task is completed. And you should never miss those deadlines. If those deadlines go over, you have missed them, then this means you have basically forgotten about your thesis. You have not followed up with your plan, and you have basically put it out of your mind and forgotten about your thesis. This is not good work ethic. This is quite bad, and it can lead you to not making a thesis and not finishing your studies. So put some deadlines there. If you see that, okay, the deadline is close, but I really don't have time right now to solve that task, then move that deadline into the future. Maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whenever you feel that, okay, in 3 weeks I should definitely be able to write my title and description. Then move it in the future. But you should not miss them. If you miss them, the task will lock and it will show you that you are now failing in your thesis. And if you have failed enough, then this is going to be a very significant problem. Sometimes our supervisors say that if you have failed a lot of the things in your schedule, then our collaboration is really not going well. You are not working on your thesis enough, like maybe the topic is wrong, maybe our collaboration is wrong, maybe I cannot supervise you personally as well as we thought. So these things happen. Sometimes just two people don't get along, different personalities, whatever the reason is. That might be a good time to find a new topic and a new supervisor where the work would be more efficient. Because it's like, we don't want to drag you along your thesis work and like grind you against the floor and come on, let's go finish your studies. Like, you should be motivated to finish your studies, and if you have chosen a wrong topic or a wrong supervisor, then maybe that motivation isn't there. A lot of that motivation comes from the topic and people you're working with. So keep that in mind, and still, most importantly, don't miss those deadlines unless you want to find a new topic and supervisor. So the takeaway from this video is use the study lab regularly. Find regular days where you go and regular times where you go to the lab and you work on your thesis. Do not miss your deadlines since you learn, or build a work wall. I said that you can change your deadlines and you can basically put your task into the future. Now, statistics has shown that the further away students put their tasks in their schedules, the lesser the grade. The more delay on average there is on the tasks from the default schedule, the worse the grade is going to be. This is just statistics. It can have different reasons. Maybe it's maybe if you are doing everything on the schedule, you still get a worse grade. Hard to say, but statistically, when you are delaying your tasks by a lot, then the grade is going to be worse. The numbers show that. So delaying the tasks will start building you this work wall. And if it's very, very extreme, then it's going to give you and your supervisor an extremely bad experience. And this is something you definitely want to avoid. So make small but steady progress every week.